Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 158. Today we are talking, do you have what it takes to be a property developer? Bob will talk through property development basics, things that you will need to have inside of you as well as have with you to become a property developer. And you'll be able to answer that question for yourself once we get to the end of this episode. So let's jump on into episode 158. Hello and welcome to episode 158, Property Mastermind Podcast. Bob Anderson and Hilary Saxton today talking, do you have what it takes to be a property developer? Well, we've got a few things we're going to talk through today that might leave you deciding, yes, that's definitely for me, or no, it's something I don't think I could do, although I'm pretty sure it's something most of us could do. But we are going to give away some great tips. So before we get started on episode 158, do you have what it takes to be a property developer? Bob?
Yes.
What about that State of Origin game last night?
Oh, wasn't it a tough game?
Wasn't it horrific?
Oh, the defence was unbelievable. Almost no points at all until halftime.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. And, well, good on New South Wales. It came good at the right time. But near the end, it was a great game, though. Jeez,
Yeah, it was
unbelievable.
a fab game.
I'm bruised. I'm actually bruised today just watching it. That's how tough the tackles were.
On top of that, if you're watching this, Bob's just been to the dentist this morning, so he's a bit dribbly.
Yeah, look, if I sound a little bit slurry, it's not that I've been on the terps at all.
You've just been injected.
It's not that I have to have a couple of scotches to pluck up the courage to do a podcast with Hilary. No, nothing like that.
No.
I had 3 big injections in the back of my mouth. I've had work done on 2 teeth, and I'm a bit slurry. I feel, I feel like this side of my face is right out to one side. But anyway.
And we were supposed to do this podcast a few hours ago, and Bob said, I'll be fine. And I said, no, I don't. I'm not really keen until you've got a bit more, I don't know, better legibility. No, what is it? What is the word I'm after?
Oh, I'm not sure.
But
I
you just need to be clearer.
I think watching me drink water and have it run down the side of my mouth because I couldn't feel anything was probably a good reason not to do it then.
Yeah, it definitely was. Anyway, Bob, so today we're talking about, well, actually, before we do, we've got to give away the book.
Oh, yes.
The book, Property Millionaires Exposed. And this week, this is going out to Craig Cotter. Now, if you get some spare time, Craig, head on over to page 121 and read about Bob's reason for loving property development the most. Alrighty, let's pop the book back out there, out of the way, and let's jump on into the episode. Bob, a lot of people love property.
Oh, yeah, Australians love it.
Yeah, Kiwis love it too.
Kiwis do.
Kiwis that live in Australia love it.
Australians that live in Kiwi land.
I don't know if there's many of them.
No.
I think mostly we come here. I used to say something really cheeky. I used to say, it's really cheeky, I don't know if I should say it. I used to say, I was invited to live in Australia to improve the IQ.
I read something the other day. They had the average IQ of a lot of nationalities.
Yep.
And Australia was then right up there.
Yeah, wasn't it third?
No, well, it had 8 countries and it was first.
Oh, first. Oh, okay.
It didn't have every country in the world, but it was above the US and Great Britain. I didn't have New Zealand in there, incidentally.
Do you know what I wondered what the reason for that would be? I wonder if it's food, because those nations eat a lot more processed food and a lot more packaged food, and there is a lot more research now around that sort of food affecting the gut lining and, even longer term being responsible for dementia, which, that's anyway, that's just my question.
Okay, sounds good.
It sounds good. Let's roll with that.
Let's get back to this.
Let's get back to property development. Okay, where were we again? We were on yes. Bob, I just we've started with we love it as a people, and property is a great way for people to make money, and people have been very lucky over time if they've had properties and they've been able to increase wealth from that. But
bit of luck, bit of hard work.
Yeah, for sure.
Bit of forethought.
Yep. And my question really is, my first question is, whether you're buying property to develop, whether you're property developing or whatever you're doing, what is the basic number one thing that you believe people need to do? I'm going to go before getting into property development, whether you're investing in property developments or whether you are doing them.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing that you should do?
Well, educate yourself about it. even if you're want to be just a plain old, sounds funny, plain old property investor. I mean, you need to understand the market, the way the markets move. You need to understand about finance. You need to understand about capital growth. All those things to do with just property, even property investment. Property development, of course, is a step up the ladder. Well, quite a step up the ladder. And for the same thing, you need to get educated about what it is that you're going to do, because a lot of money involved.
Okay, so it's really understanding what you need to know and get educated. Yeah, in fact, well, if we're going to go down the education road, because I didn't know you were going to, I thought you were coming up with something else, but that's okay.
Okay, you can give me another hint.
Oh, that's all good. I agree, though. Yeah, it's one of those things you don't want to go into.
You shouldn't go into anything half baked.
No,
whatever it is you're going to do, get yourself educated.
Okay, well, let's go along the lines of education then. How do you know, and here we go, this is kind of going to be a self-plug, but what do you do, how do you find out where you find your information from, Bob? Because in the old days, we have to go to school, or we might go to the library, or, but we're in modern technology times.
Yeah.
Horses and carts are gone. Anyone can make a course. Anyone can do one property development and make a course. There's an idea for somebody. I mean, it's not hard to get a marketer to say that you're good at something.
Yeah.
How do you know what you're learning is correct? I suppose that's a really good question. What you're learning is correct by somebody who knows what they're doing.
Well, I mean, we used to go to Google for knowledge, and now with AI, I mean, it's even gone way beyond that. So
yeah,
you're right. You could make a course by plucking all sorts of stuff off the internet that's out there and come up with a course. I don't know. I mean, the course is based on experience, knowledge. I don't even know what quality it'd be, but you got a course. But then, like, if you take that an extra step where you're actually physically helping people, like mentoring, then that's entirely different, because AI can't do that. It can't specifically look at a project and pick it apart, so you know what to look out for, make sure all the due diligence is right. So you can only go so far with that. But with any sort of education, I mean, I've studied stuff outside of property as you have. I mean, when you were doing personality profiling, you looked around and you found what you considered to be the very best and the best in that industry, and you studied under that person. And that's what you should always do.
I did the same when I did coaching.
Yeah.
It was actually accidental, but I ended up with the best. And how good's that? It does make a difference, I believe, if you get the best. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the way I've always treated it.
I remember a long time ago, back in early days, when I had become a coach, and then I decided to hire one, and I got fooled by somebody who, and back then it was a lot of money. It was I think it was about $18,000, and that was many years ago. That was back in the early 2000s, or maybe around 2008. But back then, that was a lot of money for coaching.
A lot of money.
And she ended up being not that great. She ended up not doing what she said it would be. And oh my goodness, I just
might have been a good salesperson.
Yeah, she was a good salesperson. Yeah. Anyway, the long story, but I learned a lesson there about probably doing my due diligence on who I was learning from. But okay, what about success stories, Bob? You know, when you see success stories, are they a great place for people to start and checking in on whether they and more than one?
To see if somebody's authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody likes to relate to somebody else, and we like to hear about success stories.
Yes.
But look, no person's going to advertise themselves with unsuccess stories. I've never seen it.
I don't think that's a word, unsuccess stories.
Of course you're going to get success stories.
Yeah.
How authentic are they? I don't know. I mean,
what's been your biggest success story that you've taken through? If you can look now at everyone you know right out there who's doing property development, who do you think would be one of your biggest success stories?
I don't like naming names, but I mean, some of them are running their own decent-sized development companies, and some in the commercial and some in the residential area. And so... And they still come back to me for advice from time to time, even though they're, flying high, you might say. It depends how you judge success. I mean, that's success in a measurable way. But what about the person who gave up the job that they didn't like, took a punt, took a bit of a risk, and is now doing well, bringing in good money for the family, got a future, kept some of their properties as investments long term, and going well. They're not the head of a big development company, a public company, or anything, but that is success.
Yep.
That is success, and it's not just to do with the scale of the thing or the prominence of it. I suppose then we're talking about success. What is success?
But you know what I like? I like the people whose lives that we've changed that didn't have a good outlook.
Yeah.
Where the future was not going to be great, and by making that change for them. But then I suppose, what is success? We help the people that are stuck. That we help all sorts of different people in different ways. Okay, what about just checking out success stories? I spoke with somebody yesterday, Bob, and they were doing some education through somebody else, and they were told that if they came to the person with a deal that had a 40% margin, that the person would fund it for them. Can you unpack that for me? Because what gives a 40% margin?
That's called a hook. So when people are selling things, they're looking for a hook. So that's a hook. Bring a deal to me that shows a really huge profit margin or return on cost, and I'll do this or I'll do that. But then how realistic is it? Like you mentioned, a figure of 40% return on cost. So that means that your profit is equal to 40% of your costs. How often do you see that in property development?
Have I ever seen that?
I've cracked that with retirement villages, but we're talking about
Resi.
We're talking about a stage development. We're talking about a long period of time, and we're talking about pouring a lot of capital in.
Yeah.
To get those sorts of margins, and they're exceptional because we all know that. You've heard me say it. Retirement villages are the greatest project you'll ever do in terms of profitability. But I mean, look around normal. Let's look at normal residential. If you're getting 15% return on cost, your profit as a percentage of your total cost on a duplex, doing pretty well. 3 or 4 townhouses, if you're getting 18 to 20, you're doing pretty well. So you can get these unrealistic things as well. And
I was talking about just being sold to, really.
Sold to,
yeah. So that doesn't exist.
People don't know the difference. They don't know that until they're there.
Yeah.
They spent their money. They're into something, whatever it is, and then they realise, oh, geez, it's not as easy as it was made out to be.
I think that's return on cost, return on investment, return on whatever your return is. I think you need, and that goes back to it, Bob, understanding what those terms even mean.
Yeah. And you make something that's difficult sound really easy if you want to. You just keep dumbing it down until people think, yeah, that's great. I can do that. I can do 5 of them. And then don't find out till later how difficult it really is. So, it's back to due diligence again. It's, researching. It's even Googling people, put people's names in. Or sometimes you put somebody's name and then the word scam after it, and that could open up a whole heap of things as well. But, I've seen people go to the ACCC with false testimonies and so forth, People that were saying they did this and they never did that. They're basically, almost like actors. So, look, you just got to be clever. You got to do your due diligence. Got to ask people, do a lot of research. Google. Look at how 5 ratings.
Yeah, the Google.
Is it 3-star or 5-star? And they'd want at least 30 or 40 to mean anything. Not 1 5-star from their mother.
I don't think my mother's given me a star. Might even ring her later.
Be careful. She might give you a 4 and ruin our perfect score, because we've got, 60 or 75 stars, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I was thinking for myself personally. I wasn't thinking about Property Mastermind.
Okay.
Anyway, so Bob, the second thing. So number one, the basics for property development is education. Number two, I've actually written down due diligence and feasibilities are key. Could you really unpack that? To do property development, these are basics, due diligence and feasibilities, and why are they vital?
Well, look, property development is all about numbers. And to get the numbers right, you've got to do the correct due diligence. Due diligence means checking out all aspects to do with this potential project. Pick out potential problems. Can they be solved? How are you going to solve them? What's the good, the bad, and the ugly about it? Can you get connections to services, and the feasibility is really it's like a profit and loss statement, really, for a business. Anyone who's run a business, you've got income less expenses equals profit. A feasibility on a development is nothing more than that. Income, what you sell them for. Expenditure, well, that's all your costs. But that's where people go wrong when they're starting out, because they don't know what are the costs, and they often leave them out, which makes a deal look better than it is, and they don't know the dollar values. So that goes back to my whole point of being educated in the first place.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't learn that stuff off the internet, and you have to be taught properly.
And it's just a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not, when you do due diligence and feasibilities because you want to do property development, it's not getting attached to finding a site and thinking, yes, I'm going to do it. I found the perfect site, I'm going to do it, and then kind of making it up, fudging the numbers so it does work. And then
I've seen so many people, uneducated people, I'd have to say, buy a development site because it's got a development permit. So it's got a DA, it's got an approved development. Like, it must be good, it's approved. And they buy it, and it doesn't. The numbers don't work. Just because it's got approved means it's ticked the boxes as far as the town planning side of it goes. So the council says, yeah, that conforms with our city plan, with our town plan, so we'll approve it. It doesn't mean it stacks up. It could be the wrong design for that area. They could be too big, too small, too complex. There's a whole too many on the site. More isn't always better. There could be lots of things wrong, and they're asking too much for the land as well.
I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and she was telling me that she did a rather large land subdivision, but it had a DA. I'm pretty sure it was approved, and everything was sorted, but there was some contamination in the land, so it had sat around for a long time. So she was able to offer a lesser amount and got it, and then actually ended up doing a JV with somebody who is in the business of fixing that sort of land. That was their industry, so they did a JV together. So the more educated you are, that's a way of finding something that has a problem and getting a solution, and then having an outcome that works. How cool is that?
That's a good story.
I actually wrote down here, Bob, as not getting emotional, because it reminded me of you and I when it comes to property.
When we met each other?
No, not that story.
Not getting emotional.
No, when we do development, it's just a process. We don't actually. I went and looked at a site yesterday that it's just about finished, and I haven't even looked at it. And I walked through and I saw all the design and stuff, and I hear a lot of women say, "Oh, that's the bit I love," and I love all that, and I just think, I don't even care about that, because I think, what does the market need? We just put that in there, and they're great. It's upmarket duplex and it's beautiful. But I sort of walk through thinking, I so don't go down the road of getting all tied up with the specifics on the prettiness of it.
Yeah, and don't put your personal taste in there.
Oh no,
it might not match what the market wants in that area.
No, you wouldn't want my taste.
And I've seen people make that. I like your taste. I like your taste in men particularly. But I've seen people do that. And I'd say, why? A fellow did some townhouses. Well, he designed them once, and I had a look at them. And there was no ensuite. Like 3-bedroom, 2-story townhouses. No powder room downstairs, which you do need. And upstairs, 1 bathroom. And I said, hey, there's no ensuite. And he said, oh, what a load of rubbish. He was a guy that came off the country, a bit of a bushie. And he said, you can only use 1 toilet at a time. That's what his answer was.
Oh, goodness.
And so he designed this thing with 1 bathroom and no powder room downstairs. And it had big decks on it, a townhouse. I said, where'd these big decks come from? And he said, I come from the country where, we like to have big verandas and we sit out there and we relax. And
was it on a main road?
This was him. I said, are you going to live in this thing? And he said, no.
Oh, no. That's horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's understanding your market, which is part of due diligence, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
that's a big part.
This is a basic.
That's the basis of any good business. Understand your market. Who are you selling to? Who are you manufacturing these things for?
It's even just us doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Who are we doing it for? We're doing it for people who want to get started. Just the start of it. Do you have what it takes? And we've started off with, well, do you have education? Do you understand due diligence, and feasibilities. And those are the first three key things that you need to understand. And then the next one.
Don't get emotional.
Oh, yeah, don't get emotional. Yeah, definitely don't get emotional. Don't get attached to it because you're not keeping it, so it doesn't matter.
Get emotional at the end when your development's settling and you've got six-figure chunks of money landing in your bank account.
Yeah.
Get emotional over that.
Yeah, for sure. Love that bit. The next one, Bob, I've got do it scared. And the reason I've got do it scared is I think that, well, and I don't even think I know because I speak to so many people about they want to do property development, and because I've been coaching for so long as well, they want to do something and they do the whole I'll do it later, I'm going to do it soon. They've got every excuse
When
in the
this
world.
happens, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, right now I'm a bit busy. I'll wait until. I'm
Wait
going
until
to
the
do it
kids are
when.
older and
Yeah.
off my hands.
Yeah. But really, it just means that they're just a little bit frightened because it's a little bit scary when you first get started.
Yeah.
And if it was easy, everyone would be doing
a little bit of fear is good.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us alive.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Susan Jeffers.
Susan Jeffers.
Yeah.
We laugh because that was my competition speech. I did talk about it. So both of us have a little giggle at that one.
But a little bit of fear is good. For instance, when you're driving your car, the fear of not having a car accident keeps you sharp. You know, you're looking out, looking ahead, stopping on the red light, all that sort of stuff. A bit of fear is good. Crossing the road, a bit of fear is good. No fear could be very dangerous. Same with property development. And look, I still get a funny feeling in my stomach every time, like we decide to do a project and we commit to it.
Yeah.
Not a lot, and I've been doing it for 40 years, but that little bit, that funny little niggle I get in there, I know what it is, because now we're going to do something that involves a lot of money. And but I understand that funny little.
You need to go shopping more, Bob, and get used to spending lots of money. Well, I shouldn't say that because he blooming does.
$500,000 shoes.
Yeah.
But that's even normal, you know. But I know what it is, and I don't let it get to me.
And it's not a spectator sport. You're either in or you're out.
Yep.
And unless you decide that you are in, it's going to be scary, but I'm going to do it, you will sit on the sidelines for the rest of your life. And if you are like that, you could probably look around everywhere and notice that you do that in more than one spot.
But some people should be scared because they haven't done the correct due diligence. They haven't gotten their numbers right. Maybe they never educate themselves. I mean, there's people who should be fearful, and hopefully they scare themselves out of doing something. But really, once you've learned, you're confident that you understand the numbers, due diligence, and that you've taken advice from the right people, and you're now committing to it. You're going to be a bit nervous, but by the same token, there's that confidence, that element of confidence should overtake that.
Yes, and that's what I've written down here. We've got somebody in our community who, unfortunately, but fortunately, so he started a development during the COVID time, and that's when the councils were just horrifically slow, and he sort of had terrible, like a slower time than he should have had. But over that time, wow, has he grown? And, he can now have meetings with consultants really easily. I remember, having conversations with him, and you would as well, around, you've just got to say this, and this is what you need to ask. And he definitely was one of those people who was a little bit scared initially, and then
Very scared,
grew the stomach, and is having great results. So we all feel a little bit scared when we do something new, but don't let that fear of property development as something that you want to do, don't let it stop you. You've got to, or even you may have done one and it went okay, but then a couple of other things happened in life, and that sort of gives you a bit of maybe I'm not as confident as I thought I was, or I'm not as good as I thought I was. So just check in with yourself. I think my other whole podcast is really around a lot of self-awareness, but check in and see, why are you not doing what you want? And if it is property development, well, then do the things that you want to do so you can. Bob, the next one I've got here is partners. What do people do if they have a partner who isn't supportive, either not even not supportive as in, they're okay that you do it, but they don't want to? What about the people that you really want to, and they are like, no, I don't want you to do it. It's going to take time away from me. You're going to be spending money. What do you do? What do you do? What's the answer there? You've seen it, so.
I've seen people handle it differently. I mean, some people, I don't know if capitulate's the correct word, but
It's a good word, though, capitulate.
they'll give in,
Yes.
and maybe they need to do. Maybe their marriage is more important than that. I don't know. I've seen people divorce over it, where their dreams didn't align, and I mean that's fairly common. People getting divorced is not unusual, and people sometimes grow off in a different direction. And somebody wants to do property development, so you could have a situation where one of the two parties, and it could be female or male, is really gung ho, wants to do it, and the other one could have a very high fear factor,
Low risk tolerance.
very low risk tolerance, and so that person's always going to be very non-risk, very conservative, very and well, I mean, hopefully you knew that before you got married, but yeah, look, I've seen it. I know of two cases over my years of educating and mentoring people where it has ended in divorce because, and I'm sure there's more to it than just one was determined to do property development, the other one was determined that they weren't going to do property development. There's probably more to it than that. It was probably the whole life was like that at loggerheads about where to go. But look, that's the extreme part. What to do about it? Well, it might be that the negative partner, I'll call them, just doesn't understand it enough. They might think, oh, property developers all go broke. I read something in the newspaper the other day about a big development company that went down and was owing millions of dollars. And I've heard of builders going broke as well, and not even realise there is a difference between a builder and a developer. And it could be that. They might have a very slanted view on things, and it might be that they need to be educated a bit more about property development. Understand, yes, there are risks in property development. It's the same as there are in living, and understanding those risks and mitigating against them as much as one can. Then it's not all that bad. And then the other side of it, well, what if you succeed? What would that mean? What would your life be like then if you could make this work and repeat it? What would
I often wonder, why should one person's dream be allowed to be stronger than another's? If if you have a dream, why should your dream not be allowed? That's why I believe, I heard this somewhere once and I've used it many times. There should be no making or letting in any relationship. Somebody can't make you do something, and somebody can't let you do something. That's what I think. Just in case you're interested, Bob.
I'll have to ponder this further.
I'm just thinking.
No making or letting in my life. But we're both like independently strong anyway.
Yeah.
Whether we're strong as a couple or independently strong, we are. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, we just do what you do, whatever you want. If everyone just does what they want. I've been off to a golf lesson today already. Yeah, Bob does his.
I would have liked to have gone fishing while you went golfing, but yeah, that's okay.
I would have liked to have gone fishing too. I wanted to go fishing and golfing, but anyways, alrighty. So then I'm covering, and this week I put it in both podcasts. So if you listen to the Bounce Back Better podcast, that's more a mindset one. But this week I talked about limiting beliefs and stories that hold you back. It kind of fits with this one.
Yeah.
I wrote them both out the same morning, and there is a little bit of crossover. But I put in about tenacity.
Oh yeah,
and that's you have to have tenacity. It's vital, and that's the thing that keeps us going when we feel when we feel like it's not working, or we lose hope, or we feel like we're frustrated. It's tenacity that wins over.
Yeah, tenacious. It's a very powerful word. It's a good one that you've chosen though. Tenacity. Look, property development. I'm not going to be paint it in ridiculous rose-coloured glasses and say, look, it's really easy. Anyone can do it. Don't need any money. You just can't help but be successful. That's silly. Yeah, sure, you can do projects without your own money, but look, in some projects you can almost feel guilty at the end of it. It went so easy, but then some others don't. And as property developers, we often come up against things, you call them speed bumps, or detours that we have to make, issues that came up that couldn't have been foreseen, and now we have to deal with them. The great thing is, in property development, there's always an expert somewhere. Is it a money issue? Is it a a town planning issue? Is it a design issue? There's experts in all of these areas, then you have to overcome stuff. But sure, they're going to be there, and you have to be tenacious in the respect that you've got your goal, you've got your vision of this fully completed project, and things get in your way or people get in your way. It could be a thing, could be a person, and you've got to be tenacious in not giving up, not being diverted, being true to your focus, and just deal with it.
I've actually written down Julie as a story
Oh,
for this
yeah.
one. But Julie joined us when it came into the mentoring program during the whole just the COVID time,
Yeah.
and it was just a crazy time in property development. Things stopped, the world stopped really. But oh my goodness, she just did not stop. She was relentless. She would just come back week after week. I found another site. Bob, I'm sure you just tore your hair out. You were like, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. But she didn't give up. And I love that story because she was just tenacious. And
at a time when it was very difficult, and a lot of people probably used the whole COVID thing as an excuse not to do something.
yes, or a reason to have an excuse for not even maybe they use it as their reason for saying they were going to do something, but then having the excuse, I couldn't because of COVID. Hers was more along the lines of, I'm just going to. and she did. And they're for sale right now. So that's somebody who's tenacious, and that was the first person that came to my mind then. But we have a lot of people like that. I think you have to have a lot of tenacity, and if you don't, you need to build it. You need to keep reminding yourself on why it's important. And tenacity is about that, isn't it? It's about
it's keep going in the face of adversity.
Yeah,
because you're going to get some.
Yeah, Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
He said he didn't fail 10,000 times. He said he just found 10,000 ways that making the light bulb didn't work. and then he finally found his way. But, if that is not a massive sign of tenacity, change the world by not giving up. And I think that's, if you are keen to do property development, and I know of somebody else, and I hope you're listening, Mr. South African man, I've been missing you and thinking, where are you? I hope you're still feeling tenacious and on this journey that I know you so diligently and desperately want to do. Maybe not desperately. Yeah, and will. All right, the last one, or nearly the last one, Bob, talent. Talent or obsession? I want to talk about obsession.
Okay, you do it.
I want us to discuss it. It's the obsession, like the tenacity. It's the obsession that you want to do property development that will set you apart. Because if we look at anyone who's good at something, we look at Michael Jordan in his early days when he was at school. He wasn't the best basketball player, but he became the best in the world because he became obsessed with it. And I think that, I don't even think that, I know that talent fades. Talent, it's there, but unless you have that obsession to keep going, you won't go anywhere. So you can be incredibly smart, but you may not keep moving forward. But if you're obsessed with wanting to do property development, then you'll do it. Do you want to add to that one?
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, we see lots of naturally talented people. It could be in sport, could be in music, could be in all sorts of things. Because it comes so easy to them,
Yes.
they never push themselves.
Yep.
And then it gets to not mean as much. And then they don't. They don't anymore. I can relate that. Back in my senior school years, I was good at athletics. And
Bob's a speedster runner.
Yeah, so I made it through to nationals, and I was blessed with speed, and I trained, but I didn't really have to train hard to win. There was a guy a little bit younger than me, and Neville was his name, and he wasn't as naturally blessed, but I've never seen anybody train and try so hard, and he ended up being successful, but not based on pure talent. You obviously have to have a basis of talent, but he was just so obsessed and tenacious. And I ran into him at a reunion probably 30 years later, and we got talking, and he said, I always looked up to you because I was a bit older than him. He said, I go and seniors, you made states and you made nationals. He said, that drove me on. And I said, I've never seen anybody as train as hard and be
Obsessed.
as determined, obsessed as you are. I said, if only I had that. I didn't have what you had. I just relying on, training. Sure, I did train, natural talent and training, but I mean, he went beyond. And like, if I could have come grab that off him, I don't know what would have happened.
Well, they say that's the level of success you have is by your obsession being stronger than your talent. It will surpass it eventually. And your obsession really needs to connect with your why. Why do you want to do property development? It could just be because you want to be nice and rich to buy things. Perfect. That's your reason. You knock yourself out. It could just be that you want to create a legacy for others. It could be that you want to just help your family now. You might need to get yourself out of a hole. Your future ahead doesn't look that great. Whatever it is, if it's really important to you, and you become obsessed with wanting to do it, you will do it. We talk about joint venture partners things all the time, Bob, and
I understand that obsession thing.
Yeah,
because we can get a bit obsessed when we set a target.
Yes,
I've seen you with your speeches, for instance.
Oh yeah,
where you've set a certain level that you want to achieve in competition, and it's like up there somewhere.
That's all I think about.
Totally. I mean, I walk past the bathroom and I can hear you delivering the speech while you're having a shower.
And when I put my makeup on, all day, every day.
You're out on a power walk, and you do it three speeches. Like that,
on a walk, I'll do it 8 times.
8 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a form of obsession.
Yes. But that's me wanting to
obsession.
No, that's wanting to when I was wanting to achieve a particular thing, and that's the same as property development. As soon as you're ready to achieve that thing, you become obsessed with it, and that's the focus. And that's a good point, Bob. My obsession, and that was one particular speech, that is now done because I've finished that speech. So you don't see me or hear me in the bathroom anymore chatting away to myself, which I would do.
No, it's very quiet when I walk past the bathroom.
Yeah, but that was my level of obsession, and it paid off. So because I had a why. My why was making that final stage. Yeah. So I knew what I wanted, and it really fires up our reticular activating system, the part of our brain that becomes aware of something and looks for answers. So once you decide to become obsessed with property development, you'll start seeing it in your social media feed. And before you know it, you've got us coming up, or you've got other educators or other people advertising. And then you'll start noticing a little bit more. And today you might hear this podcast differently than you've heard it every other time. So your obsession connects with your why and will help you. It is one of the majors that go with, do you have what it takes to be a property developer? Yes, you have to have obsession, because it's not necessarily a passion, is it, Bob? Because my passion isn't actually developing.
No.
My passion is, believe it, I love ticking the box. So my passion is getting the development. My passion is getting the investors. I love doing that. That's my passion. As when it comes to doing all the plans and all that sort of stuff, no, I couldn't care less.
No.
It's not my passion.
You already handed that over to others at that point. So,
yeah.
I could see that.
Yes. So, okay, what's another? And we're just about at the end of this, Bob. I think it's gone a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm actually going to just...
People will find this interesting because it's not often talked about.
No.
Too much we hear, it's not hard, anyone can do it, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Oh, I tell everyone who has a conversation with me.
Well, you won't hear that from us.
No,
But you do hear it. People with vested interest.
I think if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And you have to have that level of tenacity and obsession.
There's people who shouldn't do property development for all sorts of reasons.
If you're too risk adverse.
Well, yeah, if you're just absolutely so much risk adverse that you're even scared of having money in the Commonwealth Bank, then you shouldn't. But then, look, some people don't have time. They don't have a desire to be a property developer. They don't have the time to be one. They're very happy doing maybe, with their own job.
Yep.
Doesn't mean they can't make money out of property development. No. It just means that they're not going to be the developer. They might be the investor.
And on that, I have been having a little conversation with myself that I believe that there are far too many women out there who aren't setting themselves up for their future. And, what would our ratio be, females to males, in the programs that we have, especially in mentoring? What is it, about 35 to 65?
Women?
Yeah, 35% women. It got higher for a while. It was about 45, but now it's come back
close
a bit.
to 50 at one point.
So I'm thinking that, and if you're interested, I'll put a link below or email me. I'm thinking about putting together. First of all, I'm going to run a little bit of some information on how females can get into investing in developments and just understanding it, because I have enough conversations with people, and maybe males too. I just think there's a lot more women out there that need this information, because one, they're probably not going to do property development because they've been the caregiver most of their life, and two, most of them generally don't have enough to get started on their own.
To do their own full development.
Yes, and by the time they've realised they need to do something, they're of an age where it just gets really challenging for them. But anyway, if you're interested in learning about that, I'm going to call it Empower Her Investments. And I've started just putting a little bit out there, but I'm about to do something a whole lot around that. So if you're keen to know more, just there'll be a link below, fill it out.
You're talking about doing a property development, but it's women investors in that property development.
Yeah. Well done, Bob.
I should
have run it past you first.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I would love to do that with women who...
It's not discriminatory, is it?
No.
We'll do another one just for men, guys.
A lot of them are anyway. Trust me, I do all that. I do all the investor talk, so a lot of them are men. But I would like to do some more women stuff.
Exclusive ladies only property development.
Yeah.
Cool.
But anyway, I think that's it, Bob. I'm just going to summarise my notes, which were the basics were understand, like you need to get educated. Number two was due diligence and feasibilities are key. Number three was do it scared. You're going to be scared.
Yeah, don't get emotional was in there too.
Yeah, don't get emotional. The importance of tenacity, become obsessed.
Yeah.
And you know what we say, if you really want to do it after all of that, well, then you can, and why not you? Because plenty have gone before you and plenty will go after you. So we hope you got something out of today's podcast, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.